Our top story, a community in shock after a father and daughter are gunned down inside their own home.
We might have just been a basketball family, but, it's a lot of people affected by this.
In every home, behind every closed door, there's a story waiting to be uncovered. Welcome to Dark Whispers, where we dive deep into the hidden truths of domestic crime and the relationships that turn deadly. If you're drawn to real stories, powerful insights, and the shadows most people avoid, you're in the right place. Subscribe now and step into the whispers they never wanted you to hear. The call came in as a medical emergency. That's what the dispatcher heard. That's what the officers were told when they pulled up to that Ferguson neighborhood on a Saturday night. Nobody said shooting. Nobody said murder. Just a medical emergency. So they walked in expecting to find someone who needed help. What they found instead, nobody could have prepared for. A retired fire chief and his 15-year-old daughter, both shot dead inside the home that was supposed to be their safe place. And somewhere in that same house, locked inside a bedroom, was a 61-year-old woman named Linda Hayden. Make it make sense. Henry Williams was the kind of man a community builds itself around. He spent years as the Berkeley fire chief, running toward danger while everyone else ran away. That was just who he was. And when retirement came, most people hang up their boots and disappear. Not Henry. He stayed. He showed up. He coached girls' basketball, not for a paycheck, not for recognition, purely on a volunteer basis, because he loved it and he loved those kids. People who knew him didn't just call him coach. They called him a father figure. One of the players' fathers, Willie Williams, said it plain. Henry wasn't just an amazing coach. He was an amazing father, an amazing person. Period. And then there was Helena, his daughter, 15 years old, a sophomore at Pattonville High School and already turning heads on the basketball court. Her teammate's father, Willie, remembered watching her play. Every time she went up, they just knew. They stayed out of the way and let her work. She barely missed. A father who poured into his community. A daughter who was just getting started. That was the Williams household on any given day. Anyways, enter Linda Hayden. Linda was 61 years old, and depending on who you asked, she was either Henry's girlfriend or his ex-girlfriend. That one word, ex, matters more than it might seem, because it tells you something about where things stood between them. And in domestic violence cases, that shift in a relationship, from together to not together, is often exactly where the danger lives. But to the people in Linda's life, none of this tracked. Her best friend Cheryl couldn't wrap her head around it. And the family, they stood by her too. One family member said plainly, "I know she's no monster. I love her from my heart." Girl, that is the thing about these cases that never gets easier. Because Linda wasn't a stranger to the people who loved her. She was someone's best friend, someone's family, and yet, 2 people were dead. Here is where the sources go quiet, and that silence is loud. We don't know exactly what happened between Henry and Linda in the time leading up to that Saturday night. We don't know how long they had been together, or how long ago things had shifted. We don't know if there were arguments, warning signs, or moments where someone close to either of them felt something was off. The public record doesn't give us that. But what we do know is this. Whatever was building between them, it came to a head inside that Ferguson home. And Helena was there. That's the part that sits heavy. Helena didn't have anything to do with whatever was going on between the adults in that house. She was 15. She was a basketball player. She was her daddy's daughter. And she was in the wrong place at the worst possible moment. Like a child in her own home. Saturday night in Ferguson, Missouri. A neighborhood quiet enough that when something goes wrong, people notice. The call that came into dispatch was framed as a medical emergency, not a shooting, not a disturbance, a medical emergency, which means either someone in that house was trying to minimize what was happening, or the person who made that call didn't fully understand the gravity of what they were reporting. Either way, officers walked into something they were not prepared for. Inside the home, they found Henry Williams and his daughter Helena, both shot, both gone. A retired fire chief who had spent a career saving lives, gone. A 15-year-old girl who had a whole future mapped out in front of her, gone. Just like that, on a Saturday night, in their own home. The weapon recovered at the scene was a .38 caliber revolver, and the only other person inside that house was Linda Hayden, found locked inside a bedroom. Now let that sink in for a second. She wasn't gone. She hadn't fled. She was still there, in that house, behind a locked door, with 2 people dead on the other side of it. Investigators described the case as domestic-related, and when you lay out those details, it is not hard to see why. What was said in that house that night? What led to those trigger pulls? What exactly happened in those final moments between Henry, Helena, and Linda? That, the public record has not fully told us. And sometimes the most haunting part of a story is not what we know. It is what we don't. Moving on, because the facts that we do have are heavy enough on their own. When officers arrived and processed that scene, the picture that emerged was grim and fairly contained. There was no sign of a break-in, no unknown suspect who had slipped through a window and disappeared into the night. The threat had come from inside that house. The .38 caliber revolver recovered at the scene became a central piece of evidence. Forensics would work to connect that weapon to the deaths of both Henry and Helena. And with Linda found on the premises, not fleeing, not calling for help, just locked away, the investigation moved quickly. Authorities classified it as domestic-related almost immediately. That classification matters because it tells you how detectives began framing their questions. This was not a random act. This was personal. This was intimate. The kind of violence that happens between people who know each other, who have history with each other, who have feelings, complicated, unresolved, maybe painful feelings, with each other. Linda Hayden was taken into custody. She was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, and she was held on a $2 million bond, which tells you that the court considered her a serious risk, someone they were not willing to let walk out those doors while the case was being built. Her people, though, they were shaken. Her best friend Cheryl Fouts went on record and said, "We know that she is not this kind of person that would just kill 2 people and that's it. It just don't make sense to us. It's very shocking. It's very heartbreaking to many of us." And look, that reaction is real. That pain is real. Because Linda Hayden was not some stranger to her community either. She had people who loved her, people who looked at the woman they knew and could not reconcile her with what she was being accused of. Oh, so now. That is one of the most uncomfortable truths about domestic violence cases. The people who commit them are rarely the monsters we imagine. They are often people that somebody loved deeply, people with friends who show up for them, people with family who pray for them. And that does not erase what happened in that house, but it does make it harder. It makes it messier. It makes it real. The community, meanwhile, was trying to figure out how to hold all of this grief at once. The Pattonville School District put out a statement acknowledging Helena's death. Extra counselors were brought in, and the basketball team, her team, planned to honor her life at their next game. A Tuesday night game that Helena should have been suiting up for. Instead, her teammates would take the court, carrying her name.
This is 5 on your side at 10. I'm Mike Bush. Tonight, a woman is behind bars charged in the murders of the former Berkeley fire chief and his teenage daughter. 5 on your side's Melanie Johnson is just back from talking to those grieving the victims and friends of their alleged killer. Melanie.
Yeah, Mike, known to many as a fire chief and to others as coach, Henry Williams is said to be a shining example of a girl dad. His teen daughter, Helena, a star high school basketball player. Sadly, the duo was murdered in their own home, a loss felt on and off the court.
Coach Henry not just an amazing coach, but an amazing father, amazing person.
Willie Williams remembers Henry Williams as a father figure, guiding him on the court and in the game of life.
It's tough because Coach Henry's retired, and so everything he was doing was volunteer.
Tragedy striking as the retired Berkeley fire chief was shot and killed in his Ferguson home Saturday night. His 15-year-old daughter's life also taken.
Just being a girl dad, man, it's tough.
Helena Elliott, a star basketball player at Pattonville High School.
Every time she shot the ball, we all watched, and it went in every time.
Willie's daughter, JL, and Helena playing on the same team since 6th grade.
Every time she went up to the court, we knew that she was going to make it, and we just get out the way. She barely missed.
The Pattonville School District sharing the news of the sophomore's unexpected death Sunday. 5 on your side also hearing from the family of the suspect.
But I know she's no monster. I love her from my heart. And I'm praying for God to work through her while she's sitting there.
Friends say 61-year-old Linda Hayden was Henry's girlfriend. She's charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. Her best friend, Cheryl Fouts, can't believe it.
We know that she is not this kind of person that would just kill 2 people, and it just don't make sense to us. It's very shocking, it's very heartbreaking to many of us.
As the investigation continues, those who stood on the sidelines with Henry say the focus must remain on the light he and his daughter brought to the community.
We might have just been basketball family, but it's a lot of people affected by this.
Linda remains in jail tonight on a $2 million bond. The Pattonville basketball team plans to honor the life of Helena Elliott during Tuesday night's game. Extra counselors will be on hand tomorrow at the school.
Linda Hayden did not walk out of that house a free woman. She was arrested that same night, found at the scene, a weapon recovered, 2 people dead. The pieces were already in place before she ever sat across from a detective. And when the charges came down, they came down hard. 2 counts of first-degree murder, not manslaughter, not a lesser charge. First degree, which means prosecutors were looking at this and saying, this was intentional. The $2 million bond set against her was not an accident either. That number is a statement. It says the court looked at the evidence, looked at the circumstances, and decided this was not someone who should be walking around free while the legal process played out. Now, the trial, the courtroom proceedings, the arguments, the back and forth between defense and prosecution. Those details are still unfolding or have not been made fully public in the sources available. But what the legal process has already told us is this. The state of Missouri looked at what happened inside that Ferguson home and decided Linda Hayden had a case to answer. A serious one. Her support system showed up for her the way support systems do. Her family prayed. Her best friend spoke to the cameras. People who loved her struggled out loud with the gap between the woman they knew and the charges she was facing. And that struggle, that very human, very painful struggle, is part of this story too. But at the end of that Saturday night, Henry Williams and Helena Williams were dead, and Linda Hayden was in custody, and a community was left holding grief it did not ask for and could not put down. Henry Williams spent his whole career in service, first as a fire chief, running into buildings while everyone else ran out, then as a coach, pouring into young girls on a basketball court, not because anyone was paying him to, but because that is who he was. His former player's father, Willie, said it best. Everything Henry was doing after retirement was volunteer. He gave because he wanted to give. Helena was 15. She was a sophomore. She was the kind of player her teammates trusted so completely that they just got out of her way and let her shoot. She barely missed, and she had years ahead of her. Years of games, years of growth, years of becoming whoever she was going to become. Both of them are gone now because of something that happened in a private space, between people who knew each other, in the way that only people in relationships truly know each other. And that is the reality of domestic violence that this channel comes back to again and again. It does not always look like what we imagine. It does not always announce itself. Sometimes it ends a Saturday night that started like any other. Let me tell you something. The people we lose to this kind of violence are not just statistics. Henry was somebody's coach, somebody's chief, somebody's father. Helena was somebody's teammate, somebody's classmate, somebody's daughter. And the hole they leave behind is not abstract. It is felt on basketball courts, and in school hallways, and in the hearts of people who are still trying to make sense of a loss that does not make sense. The Pattonville basketball team honored Helena. The school brought in counselors. The community showed up the way communities do when grief is too big to carry alone. And Willie Williams, standing in the middle of all that loss, still managed to find the words. We might have just been a basketball family, but a lot of people were affected by this. A lot of people. Period. If this story sat with you, if it made you feel something, that feeling is important. Don't let it go. Domestic violence lives in the spaces where people think no one is watching. It lives in relationships that look fine from the outside. It lives in the gap between who someone seems to be and what is actually happening behind the moments no one sees. If you or someone you know is in a relationship that feels unsafe, please reach out. The National Domestic Violence Hotline is available around the clock. Call or text 180-07997233. You don't have to have all the answers before you reach out. You just have to make the call. Henry and Helena deserved better, and so do you.